I just got a video the other day from one of my rent-to-owns. They moved in October. And they have a bunch of kids. She sent me this little Christmas video she sent out to her friends that she made, and it has on there the slogan, "Our first Christmas in our new home." And, it's they videoed the front with their lights and they decorated the lawn, and it was just a cute little video, but it's like, this is home ownership. They're junior owners. They don't have the ability to actually get a mortgage, but they're working to fix their credit. They have goals that they didn't have before, and they're changing their mindset. I mean, they had a septic problem. It turned out not to be a big deal. It was that one of the kids unplugged the ejection crock, but it is a big deal when you don't know what an ejection crock is. And they had to pay $100 for a service to come out and plug it back in because they didn't know. But I thought, you know what? This couple is so excited. This is why we do what we do.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Micah Johnson, and today I'm joined by TC, who's been making serious moves in the rent-to-own space and digging into the multifamily some. TC, it's great to have you.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me, Micah.
I'm excited for you to be here. I think our listeners are really going to take something away from really how you're approaching real estate in general. You've been in it for a long time and adjusting with what you do well, adjusting for those market conditions to keep the business going. So let's dive in there. For people who may not know you yet, what's your main focus right now and what markets are you in?
So right now I do mostly rent-to-owns and fix and flips. I'm in the Virginia market area. I go up to West Virginia. We've done some in Maryland. We do look in Pennsylvania and Ohio. But basically we are looking to take something that needs some TLC, fix it up, and resell it either as a fix and flip or as a rent to own. We have a buyer's list of rent to own people. So if it's something they want, then we'll put them in it, and we help them with their credit until they're at a point where they can pay us off down the road. So when they go in as a rent to own, they put down a down payment, and they agree to refinance it, actually purchase it in their own name in X amount of years, whatever we've agreed to, but we decide on the purchase price when they go in. So if they're buying today and it's $350,000 today, it might be, I just had one where they bought it for $300,000, the appraisal came in at $390,000. So they walked right in with equity and they didn't have to have MI. So when you're working that way, I don't know what the market's going to do. Tell people all the time the market shifts and adjusts every 5 to 7 years generally. However, this market has not shifted, and it's kind of been a long time coming.
Yeah, we're in a weird one. So it's for that rent to own, what led you to that space in general versus your traditional renting and being a landlord?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Well, number one, being a landlord isn't all that great. Been there, done that, and the people really don't take care of it. So when you have some skin in the game, we always had home warranties, and the tenants always had to pay for the home warranty. So if they had a repair cost, they always paid that repair cost. And I grew up in a farm area, and a lot of farmers bought rent to own. You buy it, you take over the farm, and you make payments to that landlord until it's paid off. So rent to own wasn't new to me. And I just had a rental property and that people wanted. And so instead of renting it, because we had a whole lot of people apply for rentals and I was just tired of them, we decided to do a rent to own, and that one worked out. And so we went from there. And the fact that we do the fix and flips, sometimes they're older style and people want 2000 and newer. So the rent to own seemed to be a viable solution to making these really nice, there's perfectly nice homes. Once you fix them up, there's no reason to tear them down, that people would want, but they didn't have the way to get a mortgage.
And it kind of leans into, I said weird market a second ago, is affordability's been a big issue as of late, especially since, we were talking pre-recording a little bit about that market does usually correct every 5 to 7 years. There's a cycle to it. And it seems like we skipped one during COVID where it looked like it was going to happen and then it didn't happen. It accelerated, it kept going up. How has this helped you stay stable in a market where it does that?
Well, it's been a challenge, and the rent to own is a way to meet that challenge because there's a lot of people who want to own but can't afford to buy. So if you give them a market rent and they can come up with a down payment, I'm figuring there is going to be an adjustment soon. So they'll be able to buy the house. If we agree on a price today, I haven't had any that come in below the price that we've agreed. But if we came to that point, I'm sure we would make some sort of an adjustment.
So that gives you a lot of flexibility as the owner then,
It
way
does.
more so than as the landlord in a way. And I love the idea of someone feeling that ownership of the property because that's the best things about owning a home is that sense of ownership. This is mine, and getting them. You're 100% correct that tenants tend not to take care of properties where it would make way more sense that someone that's renting to own is thinking, this is mine. This is my house. This is all the things that I need to take care of. So embracing that sooner.
It is. It's kind of fulfilling, really. I mean, I just got a video the other day from one of my rent to owns. They moved in October. So, and they have a bunch of kids. She sent me this little Christmas video she sent out to her friends that she made, and it has on there the slogan, "Our first Christmas in our new home." And, it's they videoed the front with their lights and they decorated the lawn, and it was just a cute little video, but it's like, this is home ownership. They're junior owners. They don't have the ability to actually get a mortgage, but they're working to fix their credit. They have goals that they didn't have before, and they're changing their mindset. I mean, they had a septic problem. It turned out not to be a big deal. It was that one of the kids unplugged the ejection crock, but it is a big deal when you don't know what an ejection crock is. So, and they had to pay $100 for a service to come out and plug it back in because they didn't know. But I thought, you know what? This couple is so excited. This is why we do what we do.
It is fulfilling. It has to be to see that. I'm thinking about that video, like Christmas time, you're in your space. I'm thinking about my Christmas I have with my family, like that feeling of being in your own space, that That is powerful. Um, oh, that made me forget a good question I had. Oh, here it is. On the opposite of that, have you had to go through the foreclosure process in any of these transactions?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I did last year. I got a notice from the bankruptcy court that one of our tenants that had been in there for 3 years, she went through a bankruptcy, which means she isn't going to be buying the property. It was right before her due date. I mean, she was going to have to buy it or move or rent or something. We got the notice in December and they were supposed to move out in the end of January. And I called her and she was very nice on the phone. And so I told her, well, we could rent it to you for another year at current market rents because when you rent to own from us, we lock you in for an agreed period of time. For this couple, it was for 3 years. And she said they couldn't afford the current market rent. And so I'm like, well, then you're going to have to move. And um, she asked about the down payment, and I said, "I'm sorry that that's gone. You either buy it or you lose it." We went over this several times, and we've talked about it, like, the year before she said she was gonna refinance, and I said, "That's terrific. We apply that amount towards your refinance, but if you don't wind up purchasing the property, you lose this money. That deposit is forfeit." And so she had done some damage to the property. I took a contractor out there, and she was really snotty to the two of us. And she took all the outlet covers off when she moved out. But
Man.
we left a microwave and a stove. She had taken out our microwave and stove because they were bottom of the line, I guess. And she put in these really fancy ones, and she left those. And I'm thinking, I would have probably sold those and put back the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and the refrigerator, side by side refrigerators. She gave us an improved kitchen, basically.
Yeah, just took your electric covers. That's not a terrible trade.
I was fine with that. I mean, my son and I went around and put in new cover plates. So
Yeah. Now you mentioned that you have them buy home warranties earlier. How does that help you in this process? And in that particular scenario where there was damage, was that something you were able to use to offset costs to get that back ready for the market?
well, the damage that they did were walls, so those weren't covered in a home warranty. But I
Okay.
put a home warranty on every rental, on every rent to own. And then uh, I explained to them that if they have a septic problem or an appliance issue, they call the home warranty and they pay the deductible. It's about $100 typically. They pay the deductible and the home warranty either fixes or replaces it. And I tell them on HVAC systems and septics that where it's piping and stuff, the home warranty only pays half or a lump sum, and they are responsible for the difference. It's worked out really well, actually.
What company do
Um,
you use?
well, I I don't stay with one company because, it depends. If it's well and septic, I use Choice Select because they cover well and septic. Um, if it's um if it's in town, I use oh my gosh, it ran out of my mind. A guy that I used to work with just went to work for him too. But there's a lot of them out there. American Home Shield is very competitive, but they're also kind of pricey. And there's no apples to apples. So it really depends on what market I'm in, which one I use.
Interesting. I didn't realize it was that different. I've heard of American Home Shield before, but the reality of being able to, so you got options for depending on the property. That makes sense.
Yeah. And you want to check them out and make sure that they're a legitimate company because not all of them are. So I tend to stick with the top three companies. And the one I can't think of, they actually offer a toolkit to realtors. So I'm a realtor, which is great. So they have this toolkit inside their system, and they send me notifications if somebody's made a claim, and then you can reach out to that person. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, yeah, it keeps you up to date while also protecting some of your own money in the property. Because that I mean,
Exactly.
keeping up upkeep capital or, yeah, capital expenses on is it capital? No. Operating expenses on
Operating.
properties
Yeah,
is what really can eat up a budget if you're not prepared for it.
it really can. So, I mean, having a home warranty on a rental is beneficial to you as the landlord. And on a rent to own, it's just great because you let these people know they're really junior homeowners. And this is just another way to teach them.
Mm. Yeah, and education is key. Now, in our pre-call, you said you've traveled around the nation, done some education. What types of education is it that you really teach, and what are you passionate about there?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Well, so as I said, I am a real estate agent. Well, I'm a real estate broker in Virginia. And I've taught classes for the National Association of Realtors, and short sales and foreclosures are my specialty. I've been doing that since 2008. And so that's something that people always want to know about, especially in rent to own businesses. I buy property at auction, so I teach people how to buy at auction. It's really important. Numbers are a big deal. It's not about emotion, but you can easily overspend in an auction if you get caught up in it and you don't know what you're doing.
Mm. Yeah, there's something about raising your hand in one of those, right? Gets you in like, gets you in that game. There's a rush to it for sure.
There definitely is a rush to it. You definitely have to pull yourself back.
What's your prep to before you go in? Like, how do you prepare yourself to go to an auction?
So, well, if I can't go and look at the property, I pull comparables in the area. I know what my numbers are because I'll look at the property, either it's online or in person, and realize I'm going to figure out how much work do I have to put in to make that livable and attractive to others. So um, that is a big deal. And then so I deduct that from how much I'm going to pay for the property to begin with. So when I go to an auction, I already know my numbers and where I'm going to stop. And I think that's key to anybody who's going to an auction,
Yeah, more know your limit than your starting point.
right? And a lot of people think
And
that you can't have a loan in an auction, a mortgage, and that's not true. Some of them, yes, but some of them will give you 30 days to get financing.
really, I didn't know that. Which ones
See?
do you typically find do that?
Almost all of them. The ones on the courthouse that's that day in person, they do not. They want the cash. But if it's an online auction or if it's a big auction where it's a tax auction and they're selling off a bunch of properties at once, if you're online, they'll give you that 30 days. So if you're in person and you talk to them beforehand, a lot of times they'll give you that 30-day grace.
Interesting. Man, that could open up that market to a lot of people who may not even have thought about that before. Because typically you think courthouse steps, you got to have so much money in the account beforehand before you're even allowed to raise your hand. And there's barriers, as it were, to keep the crowd down, I guess. But being able to do that, that's cool. All right, I may have to revisit some auctions.
So yeah,
Got me
you do,
hyped
because
up.
some auctions, like I said, some auctions, they want it right then and there, but others will give you time to get financing.
Now, we were talking beforehand, and you were saying you were making some ventures into the multifamily space. Now, what has caused that, and why the multifamily space?
Well, I live in Virginia. I'm only 2 hours from DC. So the competition with investors and my price point is really huge. And the last 2 years at auctions, I noticed that people were running them up way beyond their value, which to me is insane. You're there to get a deal, and you realize you're paying a premium on top of whatever you bid. So if you're bidding 100,000 on a piece of property, you got to think about the 10% premium you're paying out of pocket on top of that. So really, you're paying 110 or 120 for a property. Make sure it's worth that. If it's only worth 100, then you've overbid.
Yeah.
I mean, and people don't think about that when they go to auction. I can tell these people don't know what they're doing. They can have it. And so after losing several bids and then looking around and finding that my margin was getting smaller and smaller on what I could find that didn't need a whole lot of work, and talking to other investors in the area that do a whole lot more remodeling than I do, um, I just thought, it's time to move into the multifamily um, phase where I'm more passive income, where you have enough doors that you can just step back.
How are you going about finding those properties now?
Well, we're in the process of we haven't bought a multifamily because again the prices aren't where we want them to be. But in talking to another partner, we're looking now for office space that we can convert. And that seems to be um, something that might be more reasonable because a lot of this office space is set for a long time and hasn't moved. So those landlords are probably going to be more agreeable to rate and term, to some sort of terms.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, post-COVID, office space kinda took a beating. A lot of
Really
them
good.
didn't refill back up. So, what are you learning about how that conversion process? How deep have you dug into that?
Well, I've talked to a lot of people about it, and you really come up with zoning issues and how much water is a huge issue when making that conversion, especially if it's near a data center. The counties have now gotten wise to data centers, so they're self contained in water, electricity. But the older data centers are using the community's water and electricity supply. So if you have an older data center in an area, there's no point in converting because they don't have the infrastructure to make that conversion. So you have to
Interesting.
take into the zoning and what that building, the structure might be convertible, but the area might not be able to support the conversion.
Interesting, that makes sense. Like, if you're in the middle of the industrial park, you probably can't convert that one. So there's kinda like the edges of town, I would guess. Whatever is lingering on the edge. Is there a certain zoning that you have found is easier to convert or one that you've heard is easier to get them to switch?
Light industrial and office space is easiest to convert. But like I said, if they're near one of those older data centers, then you might not, don't even bother because they just don't have the infrastructure to have people living there full time.
How often do you see that in your world that they're close to those older data centers?
Northern Virginia is it's a reality. So
Okay,
that's why we look
big
in
deal in
West.
Northern Virginia.
Yeah, that's why we look in
Alright, so
West
if you're
Virginia stuff.
if you're listening to this and you're in Northern Virginia and you're interested in that conversion, pay attention to that. That could have just saved you a ton of money and a lot of time and heartache by knowing that those older centers do that. Because that's what I love talking to real estate folks about is you get those little nuggets that unless just you're talking to someone that's deep into it and studying it, you wouldn't think about it.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, I used to live in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and in Caroline County, there's a housing development. One side of the road has its own water supply, but the other side buys water from Spotsylvania. And so their water bills were twice as much. So when you're selling in that subdivision, you have to be aware which side of the road are you selling in? And you have to let people know your water bill's high. This is why. So when you're doing a conversion on an office space, it's a very similar issue. Is there the infrastructure to support that conversion?
So that's pretty much step one after zoning. Is it in a zoning I can rezone? And then does the infrastructure exist to actually pull the project off?
Right.
Now, do y'all have any that you're close to moving forward on?
No, we don't. Like I said, so far what we've looked at, just hasn't made that conversion. Um,
Interesting.
and you also have to take into account how old is the building. Um, I didn't even know what knob and tube was until 2 years ago when I looked at a building that had knob and tube, and I'm like, "What is this stuff?" My husband was like, "Oh, that's knob and tube. Nope, nope, nope. That's like $100,000 to switch that over."
Someone listening that wouldn't know what it was. What is knob and tube?
That's an electrical, that's an electrical setup that worked really well, but it is obsolete. So you have to replace it if you're making a conversion.
Wow, that can definitely drive your cost up for sure.
Yeah. So, so it has been a real learning curve. Like I said, I've been in this for 30 some years and I didn't know what that was when I saw it. It just looked kind of odd. Some odd
Yeah.
electric
Yeah, if
system.
you haven't seen it. It's I love that, and I love these tidbits for people that could be earlier in their process or trying to level up their game. What's made the biggest difference for you in real estate when it comes to building relationships and growing your network?
Well, growing your network is tough in this business. Um, a few years ago, I worked with somebody I'd known, I'd been in underwriting with in the 80s, and we were working on a deal in North Carolina, and it was a nice piece of land that we were going to convert. And it didn't happen because the husband had done all the dealings with us. We had a great relation with him. But at one point in time, he had added his wife to the property. When it came to closing, she said she wasn't going to sign. So we did all this work, had resold it, had all set up to be resold and everything. And she wasn't going to sign. And he thought he could talk her into it. And he was wrong. So,
Oof, that's a tough day.
oh, yeah, that was a tough one to swallow. Um, but when you get into this business, that's just it. A lot of times you trust people on face value and then you work with them and you realize what they said is not what they meant.
Mm. Any recommendations for how to recognize that sooner?
Uh, if you have one, let me know. Really, it's just doing due diligence. I took on an investor who said she wanted to invest and she really wanted to be a banker. I'm sorry, but they're two different kinds of people. If you're an investor, you're in it whether we win or lose. If you're a banker, you're going to get your money no matter what. But I pay a banker monthly. I don't pay a partner monthly.
Interesting. So dive into that difference for me a little bit more. The difference between that lender and that investor, because someone may be listening to this that might be on that fence and not sure really which one. How do you know which one you are and that you might lean towards?
So that's a good question. So an investor is a person who gives you money to put into the project, whether or not you're going to win or lose. They're betting that you're going to win, just like if you went to Las Vegas. They're betting that you're going to win, but they're okay if you don't. A banker gives you the money and they say, this is what I want in return. I want this amount on my return on my investment. That's a banker. It's a different mentality. So, I mean, when I did mortgage lending, I was a banker. People knew right up front, I want this money back.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
investor,
This isn't
you're
really at risk.
exactly. I mean, I can't guarantee you'll get a 9% return on every deal I do. I can't guarantee that you're going to get it in 60 days. If I'm doing rent to owns, you're going to have to wait 3 to 5 years.
Mm,
So
yeah.
what is that?
Now, do you in your for your investors, do you find in that rent to own space there's enough of those out there that like participating in it that way?
There are. There are investors who are happy. They're JVs. Some I have a couple. They're from other countries. They're happy to put their money in and wait for it to come back. And if there's problems with it, with the property, I let them know and they're okay. They know that it might take longer to get their money back. And on a fix and flip, they're looking to get it back in within a year. On a rent to own, they're looking at long term. So they're fine. They could care less. They write it off. Um, And
How,
like I said,
how do your
income
terms change from the fix and flip to the rent to own? What is there something that sweetens that deal for the rent to own?
for the investor
Mhm.
or nope. Mm-mm. No, they just, there's a lot of investors and I'm one. I have some properties I don't even rent out. They just empty properties. Some of us actually need that write off at the end of the year to make everything else
Interesting.
work.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. It makes sense. All right. So, hey, it's well, the point's to win, right? In this game, you're trying to play it to win, and that really depends on you as the investor. What you're trying to get out of what you're doing. You know, your
Right.
life in general, how you're trying to live it, what you're trying to create, what's the smartest way to do it. And again, one thing I like about real estate, there's a lot of strategies. You don't have to be pigeonholed into just one. You really have there's space in the industry to find the way you enjoy doing it and the way that creates the life that you want. All right, before we wrap up, if someone wanted to reach out, connect with you, maybe collaborate or learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to reach you?
You can email me at onesimplerealty@gmail.com or you can call me 540-455-1086 is my cell. And I'm on the web under One Simple Realty. You can find
Excellent.
me.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll make sure that those are in the description of the episode so people can reach out to you. Perfect. Well, listen, I appreciate your time, your story, your perspective. I think we need more people out in the space doing it like you're doing it, being creative, solving ways under different market conditions to keep things going. And for those of you tuning in, if you got value from this, please make sure that you've subscribed to our channel, like the episode. We've got more conversations just like this one we've got more conversations coming up with operators just like TC who are out building real businesses in the industry. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.